They told you to calm down. Stop thinking so much. Just go with the program. But something deep in you said no. You didn't come here to blend into a lie. You came here to see, to remember, to break what was never real to begin with. You weren't born to play a part in someone else's production. You came here to rewrite the script, to challenge the set, deconstruct false narratives, and remind people of what has always been real. They gave you a costume, labels, limits, roles, tried to minimize your infinite self into a box that fit their comfort, tried to convince you that obedience was wisdom, that silence was strength. But none of it worked. Not because you were lost, but because you were never meant to embody limitation. You were dropped into a reality built on make-believe, false gods, false success, false safety. And from a young age, you could feel it. You didn't have the words, but your body, your energy, your spirit, it knew. This system wasn't built for souls like yours. It was built to make you question your knowing. That's why they gave you rewards for ignoring your instincts. Gold stars for silence, applause for amnesia. They taught you to suppress your questions and reward your own forgetting. But your soul wasn't interested in praise, it came for purpose. And no applause can replace alignment. You couldn't fake the smile, couldn't follow the script, couldn't convince yourself to care about things that felt empty. Not because you're difficult, because your soul has discernment built in. You weren't made to settle for comfort in a cage. You were made to recognize the cage and walk through it. Even when everyone else said it wasn't a cage at all, even when they hung curtains and called it home. You knew a prison wrapped in pretty is still a prison, and peace bought with your silence is too expensive to afford. Because when the cost is your spirit, the price is too high. And you were never meant to trade your essence for acceptance. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be undeniable. And truth, no matter how uncomfortable, was always your native tongue. You ever wonder why certain jobs made you sick? Why certain relationships felt like death to your spirit? Why certain cities felt like they were draining your breath? It's not just intuition. It's your frequency filter activating. Real ones can't survive long in places built on illusion. Your system literally starts shutting down. Because your higher self is yelling, this is not your path. It's like your spirit has its own immune system, and lies are the virus. That ache in your chest, that pit in your gut, it's your inner compass pulling you back into alignment. You never lacked direction. You had stopped trusting your inner map. You see what others avoid, feel what others numb, speak on what others pretend isn't there. That's why they pull away, why they call you intense, why they try to put you on trial, when all you did was stand in truth. Your presence makes their illusions uncomfortable. You don't need to yell truth for it to echo. Even in your silence, the mirror you hold reflects what they're trying to hide. And for some, that reflection is unbearable. Because once truth is seen, comfort can't survive. And some people aren't ready to live outside the lie. They've built their identities on illusion, so your clarity feels like violence. Not because you're attacking, but because you're revealing. And revelation always comes with resistance. Awakening comes with a cost, and not everyone will celebrate your clarity. Some will ghost you, mock you, label you too much or too out there. But don't doubt. That tension is proof you're vibrating beyond the veil. When your frequency rises, false connections fall off. And the people who once fed on your silence will panic at your truth. Let them go. You weren't sent here to be palatable. You were sent here to shatter illusions. They told you to fit in, to stay in your lane, to just accept the game. But something in you, maybe the strongest part, refused to forget. You knew deep down this reality is layered. This world is enchanted. And most of what they teach you is a lie. That knowing never left you. You just buried it to survive, and then it woke back up. What you buried was never weakness, it was sacred memory. Stored in your bones, your dreams, your deja vu. And now it's rising like a song you used to know, but forgot the lyrics. Only this time, the words are finding their way back, and you're ready to sing what your soul never forgot. This was never about being light. It was about being real in a world designed to make you forget your power. Real ones don't settle, because settling means sleepwalking. And once you see, you can't unsee. You're not broken, you're awake, and they can't trap a soul that refuses to be fooled. Because a soul that remembers cannot be bought, cannot be tamed, cannot be silenced. You're not here to adapt to dysfunction. You're here to disrupt it with presence. The world doesn't need more actors, it needs more awakeners. So if the path feels lonely, good. That means you're not lost in the crowd anymore. You're walking your own blueprint, not their borrowed map. The real ones will find you. The aligned ones always do. Because light recognizes light, even across lifetimes. And your signal, once buried, now pulses loud and clear. Not for attention, but for remembrance. To remind the others it's time to wake up too. Keep rising.